If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching video demos, and still feel stuck wondering whether a thermal imager with a moisture meter is really worth the extra dollars, you're not alone. Most of us end up buying tools that either sit in the garage unused or, worse, we get something that barely scratches the surface of what we need for a real job. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'm going to walk through the FLIR MR265 the way a seasoned home inspector would, point out the moments where it actually saves you time, and flag the situations where you might be better off with a simpler device. First, let's talk about why you'd want a combo tool in the first place. In an older house, you might notice a damp patch on a wall, a mysterious musty smell, or an electrical outlet that seems to be heating up. Traditionally, you'd need a separate moisture meter to locate water intrusion and a separate thermal camera to see temperature differentials. That means 2 devices to calibrate, 2 batteries to keep charged, and 2 sets of data to interpret. The MR265 promises to merge those workflows: a pinless sensor that can scan for moisture without drilling, a 160120 thermal sensor that gives you a clear heat map, and an MSX overlay that fuses the thermal image with a visual picture so you can actually see where the hotspot sits in the room. For anyone who routinely walks through basements, attics, or crawl spaces trying to pinpoint leaks, that integration can shave minutes off a job that would otherwise take half an hour per room. Who should actually consider buying this? If you're a professional home inspector, a building contractor, or a serious DIY renovator who regularly deals with water damage, mold, or HVAC diagnostics, the MR265 lands in a sweet spot. The pinless moisture sensor is non-invasive, which means you can sweep a wall without leaving a series of pinholes, a feature that many contractors appreciate when they're working in a client's finished space. The built-in laser pointer is another small but practical touch. You can aim the laser at a spot on a wall, fire off a moisture scan, and then immediately see the thermal overlay, keeping your workflow fluid. In practice, I've seen inspectors use this combo to confirm a roof leak that was only visible through a subtle temperature dip on the attic floor, then cross-reference that with a moisture reading to prioritize where to cut into the sheathing. On the flip side, if you're a casual homeowner who only needs a thermal camera once a year to check for drafts, or a hobbyist who just wants to see the temperature of a radiator, the MR265 may be overkill. The device sits at a price point that competes with dedicated thermal imagers that have larger sensor arrays and more refined image processing. For a simple "is this pipe leaking" job, a basic pinless moisture meter often half the price does the job just fine, and a smartphone-compatible thermal attachment can give you a decent heat map for the occasional check. In those cases, the extra cost of the integrated laser and MSX overlay may not translate into real savings. Now let's break down the practical strengths you'll notice the moment you turn it on. The thermal sensor's 160120 resolution isn't the highest on the market, but it's crisp enough to differentiate between a warm pipe and a cold wall, especially when you're looking at a room-sized view. The MSX technology, which superimposes visual details onto the thermal image, is a real game-changer when you're trying to locate a hidden leak behind drywall. Instead of a vague hotspot, you see the exact stud location and can line up your repair plan without tearing down large sections of wall. The pinless moisture scanner works at a decent depth for most wood framing, typically up to ½ an inch, so you can detect water behind plaster without having to guess. I've watched technicians run the sensor across a bathroom wall, get a clear moisture reading, then instantly switch to thermal mode to see if the water is causing any temperature anomaly that could lead to mold growth. That 2-step verification is exactly what the MR265 was built for. Weaknesses are a little subtler but worth mentioning. The device's battery life is respectable for a day's work, but the combination of thermal imaging and moisture scanning drains power faster than a single-purpose unit. That means you'll need to keep a spare battery or a charging cable handy if you're doing a full house inspection. The 10-year warranty sounds comforting, yet it's limited in scope. Any damage from drops or water exposure isn't covered, which is ironic given the product's focus on detecting moisture issues. Also, while the laser pointer is useful, it's not a high-precision aiming tool, it's more of a quick reference, so you'll still need to manually align the scan area in tight spaces. Lastly, the user interface, although straightforward, can feel a bit clunky when you're switching between moisture and thermal modes quickly. The menu navigation.